I felt guilty putting that video on the screen, not because I was on anyone's side. I felt obviously bad about it. It was horrible. But because you don't want to put ugly things on TV and inflame passions. You want people to be reasonable and think things through and reach wise decisions. Why would news organizations, I mean, they really want to make people enraged, clearly.
They don't want us focused on reality. Hey, if they want us to devote an hour of coverage to this and weekend coverage of this, and they want to take us to a good place, I would examine the racial element of this, because there is a racial element. And this is a story about young black men and their inability to treat each other in a humane way. Everybody involved in this on the street level was either 24 to 32 years old. Everybody. It was a group of young black men, 5-on-1. Looked like gang violence to me. It looked like what young black men do when they're supervised by a single black woman. And that's what they got going on in the Memphis Police Department. They've elected some or put some black woman in charge of the police force. And we're getting the same kind of chaos and disunity and violence that we see in a lot of these cities that are run by single mothers. If we want to discuss the breakdown of family that leads to disrespect for authority, that causes you to resist the police and run from the police and not comply with the police because you resist authority at all time, because there was no male authority in your home, let's have that discussion. But that's not where they want to take us. They want to take us down the path of saying, you know what, this is Tucker Carlson's fault. This is some random white, this is Donald Trump's fault. It's not. It's the breakdown of family and the buying in to all these left-wing things that have nothing to do with promoting family.
You've been on the show so many times, and every single time you say something I never would have thought of, including what you just said.
Tucker Carlson would have never thought to say these things because he would never blame white women when white men abandon their children, thus causing lawlessness, crime-ridden, and unsafe communities in his neighborhoods. He would never say that because white men don't blame white women when the man leaves. This is why they call it fatherless households. However, because this Tyre Nichols situation involves 5 black men, it's okay for a black man to sit on a national television show and blame single black women. Jason Whitlock literally sat here and said it's not the white man or the black man's fault. It's because of black women and we need to do something about it. This is baby mama culture. I hope black women are paying attention to how we are being blamed and devalued for matters and situations we have no control over. Yet the responsibility is placed on our backs. What I also found troubling is the level of misogyny in Jason's statements regarding Captain C.J. Davis of Memphis Police. This woman has been in law enforcement for over 35 years. She has an extensive career that includes training in cyber crimes, gangs and guns, special victims, and so on and so forth. The list is very extensive. She was brought into the Memphis Police Department to help combat the crimes in the community while also helping the police force be more inclusive to black officers. She recently testified before the U.S. Senate Judiciary Committee on the matter of police reform in the aftermath of the killing of George Floyd. But none of that matters when black men like Jason Whitlock use misogyny to diminish the achievement, skills, training, and qualification of this black woman. Blaming black women for black men abandoning their children while also blaming black women for black men terrorizing and destroying the black community is rooted in black male misogyny. Black men abandoning their responsibility isn't new.
It's very rare to have both original parents in the home nowadays in time, because things, just like I say, during that time, things were so hard when I was a kid that most fathers would just desert the mother. Or they were having babies so fast and they didn't know how to stop until the father would just get disgusted and just up and leave. That was the only thing he knew to do.
A black man has never really been known to own a family. He's not really an upstanding figure in the home from the get-go, see, because he has some cheap job paying nothing, in which his wife could go out and make twice as much if she happened to get out there and started working. So we black people have never really owned a family, and this pattern has just been carried on through history. We do have families in South LA with the mother and the father in the home. And a lot of times you probably wouldn't know it because the father has been depressed so bad over a period of time that he's just not even noticed. He has been, maybe he has worked all his life, man. He's tired, you know, and he just the kind of cat that just, as he's got older, he just lays around, you know, and taking it easy because life has just did him so wrong. He's went through so much, you know, by him being black. He just went through so much. And when he gets old, man, his mind is just so piled up with this. He doesn't, you know, he's not too good of an image. And he's just there, and nobody even knows he's there half the time.
The black women feel that their black men is not men anymore because they have lost their dignity. You know what I'm talking about? You take a black man, if he can't afford to go down to the store and buy a quart of milk, that makes a man feel like he's not no more man. If a black man come in and his wife feel that he can't go buy her a decent dress, that takes something from that man, just like you or anybody else would feel same way. But this is what the black people have to contend with. This takes some of the dignity from a man.
I had to help supplement my husband, Sarah. He didn't make enough money for us to get along on. And most of the time, he was out of a job. He was on unemployment. He couldn't get a job. He tried. He would go to various places. And because he didn't have the experience of, you know, the various jobs that they had open, well, the white man wouldn't hire him.
During those times that my mother had to work also like to help my father. And times were pretty rough then because my mother would have to leave early in the morning and she didn't come in until late in the evening, and my father likewise.
It took quite a deal of away from my children. It left my children alone. I wasn't able to pay a babysitter. My mother, she would come over sometime and look after the children, but she was sick half of the time, so she couldn't afford to come over. So that made me have to leave my children home alone. She would come home in the afternoon, no mother, no father, because we both were still at work. And as she grew up and become a young lady, she began to tell me how she missed me and how much she wanted me at home and how much she wished that I was able to stay home and do the things for her that a parent should do for their children. And that made me feel very bad. And I don't think it's good that a mother have to get out and work and leave her children at home. It makes bad children. It causes some children to go astray. It's too much freedom, whereas there's a girl in the home. It causes illegitimate pregnancy in the home from the girl. And just any number of things that it causes when a parent have to go out and leave her children at home by themselves.
This video came out in 1968, 55 years ago. Not only has fatherless households increased in the black community, we've seen an increase in fatherless households by black men in other communities as well. So we know the impact that this is having, yet we cannot put blame where it needs to go, which is on black men.
Hey, what's cracking TikTok? I want to piggyback off another video that I did. It was, did black men create the modern black woman? And it seems that accountability is kryptonite to black men. You know, black men always want to say that black women lack accountability. And they always want to point the finger at black women, talking about black women destroyed the black community. Oh, black women are nothing but single mothers and baby mamas. But who made them single mothers and baby mamas? Who did that to them? You know, black men never want to own up to the part they played in the destruction of the black community. And it's always, oh, the government did it. The government, it was the white man. It was Willie Lynch syndrome. It's post-traumatic slave syndrome. The government didn't tell you to go around and sleep and lie and manipulate and play and womanize a whole bunch of black women and create broken homes and create bastard kids. The government didn't tell you to do that. You did that. You did that. And two, you can admit and own up to the fact that the part that black men played in destroying the black community, destroying the black family dynamic, nothing is going to change. You know, a lot of black men talking about, oh, well, we kings. We're kings. We're doing this. We're doing that. You know, black women got to be submissive. They got to follow our lead. You ain't leading nothing. You ain't setting an example for them to lead. You know, as a man, when you mess up, you're like, damn, I messed up. How can I make this right? You got to lead by example. You know, you can't keep blaming black women when you played the integral part in breaking things down. You know, back in the 30s and 40s, everyone wants to point, but back then, black men were sleeping around en masse. Black men were cheating on their wives en masse. Black men would have a family here and a family on the other side of town, Big Papa. And we want to act like that women are just supposed to accept that. That's just the normal, the way how things were. All the lying and manipulating and conniving. Eventually, people say, "Hey, I don't want that anymore. Hey, I'm gonna avoid these men. I'm not gonna do this. I'm gonna teach my daughters to avoid these men because I don't want them to go through that." Until black men step up and be the leaders that they say they are and fix their community, and the community's always going to be where it's at. You know, black men are the backbone of the black community. They always have been. And when the backbone is broken, so is the rest of the community. So if you want your community fixed, start by taking accountability and coming to the table with that.
So there you have it. Black men not only created fatherless households in the black community, but they also did it in other communities to where you have mixed race people coming out to say, no, they did it to our community, and taking accountability is like them receiving kryptonite. They can't handle it. Not only can they not handle it, they will shove that responsibility on everybody else but them. With that said, Fox News needs to come out and make a statement on this issue, because this statement that Jason Whitlock made was not only extremely wrong, but it was extremely sexist. This is not something that they would have said about a black man who was in that same position. The reason why it's okay to blame black women is because we are not protected, and we are constantly being preyed upon by not only the white community, but now we can see by also black men. Fox News needs to do something, or I'm going to start making complaints on this issue, because you cannot have somebody like a Jason Whitlock sitting on national television saying that black women are to blame for black men and their inability to control their emotions and do their job.